Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Magnificent Seven stocks. I'm doing something new. I'm going to separate this from the weekly earnings reports video, so that video by itself isn't so long and you guys can kind of pick and choose and I can see what you're more interested, whether it's individual stocks whose earnings reports come out each week or the Magnificent Seven, and know which one to do more for all of you. So anyway, starting off with fear and greed, we are up into greed though on the low end in CNN, and for pie vesting you can see it's curling down a little bit, so just something to keep an eye on. Going over to the Magnificent Seven stocks, let's start off with the biggest one, and that is Microsoft. And Microsoft is having a move up to this fib line. I believe that is the 1618. And the way I drew this out is I have a fib that I drew from the prior high to low. And when I look for price targets, I take the fib, and you can go to the settings here in Trading View, take it off log scale. I like to look at log scale on the fib for price targets in between to dollar cost average in. That's also why I have buy sell signal indicators and the 50, 100, and 200 moving averages. But you can see the 1618 here is at 434. So it's tested this area before, and should it get through, then things will be looking pretty positive for Microsoft. The next area would be 570. So could you imagine? I'm not sure what market cap that would mean for Microsoft, but I'm sure it'd be in the 4 trillion. So crazy to think about, but I remember when there weren't even any stocks over a trillion. And with inflation, you're going to see some of these numbers get higher. Next one, let's take a look at Apple. In Apple, we were talking about it. We're on the daily right now. Let's go to the weekly. We're on the weekly, and we were talking about Apple, how it was good value when it was down here at the 100-week moving average. And then we got this big buy signal, and things just went, or have been going up pretty well since that time. We can measure that out with this tool right here, and you can see that since this 100-week moving average, Apple's gone up around 14%. I hope you guys understand how big these moves are, because when a stock with a market cap near 3 trillion is moving 10%, that's 300 billion, which is just crazy to have over that amount, like what, 400, 500 billion. I'm guessing, I'm doing quick math in my head, in a month. It's just crazy to think about sometimes. So Apple looking pretty good. It looks like it wants to get near its former all-time high, near 200. I think I marked that out right. Well, I could have marked this fib better. You can see that green line in the middle here. I'm trying to get the top line right on it. So Apple is going to be looking to test 200. And if it rolls over again, you're going to probably hear people talking about a head and shoulders pattern, which would be here's the head and here's one shoulder and the other one. And if so, then we can look for price targets down here at the 200 moving average. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but you never know how these things play out. And should it, I would not doubt that that would be the narrative. So anyways, if Apple does get above, we can just check the price target on this too. Let's make sure we have our fib off log scale, which it is. And we have the 1618 at 245. So 245, should we break above, would be the next target for Apple. I'm going to put that back on log scale next. So just in case Apple does get bearish again. So anyways, moving on to NVIDIA. This is probably the one you guys want to hear about. And wow, look at NVIDIA. Yesterday it had its earnings reports come out, and in the after hours, this is what happened. Just crazy. So NVIDIA inside of one day went up 10%. Again, we're talking about a $2.6 trillion market cap. So can you imagine around 250 billion just going into one stock overnight? For me, that's crazy to think about. Like, where's all this money coming from? But anyways, yeah, NVIDIA going higher. And it also broke above this fib we were talking about. So I showed you guys how I drew a fib from the prior high to low. And if you're wondering what these extra yellow lines are, I just added kind of a fake out area of 9% up and down. But what you can see here is that NVIDIA honored these fibs, the 1618 on the daily time frame. If I show this to you, and this is why I like looking at fibs so much. It got up to that fib. I believe that's the 2618. Sorry, I'm like scrolling all over the place here. Yeah, the 2618 at 733. It got up there, went down to the daily moving average. God dang it. I moved off the time frames. Okay. Went up to that fib, went down to the 20, got up to this 3618 hit it once, twice, came almost all the way down, came back up, and now it is blasted through. So it blasted through 1,000 pretty well. I was wondering what it'd do there because 1,000 is just a big round number. I thought it, might be some sort of psychological barrier, maybe. But the next fib target is around 1,120. So watch for 1,120. And hey, if you've bought NVIDIA down here, this is something I think is worth noting that it's unrealistic to see stocks move up inside of 18 months this big. Okay, that's not typical. So in the long term, when stocks are steadily grinding up, maybe they're doing 10% a year, 20% a year, whatever, that's fine. But if all of a sudden they're moving up 800, 1,000% inside of a year, it's okay to take profits because what typically happens, not what might happen, what does typically happen is as sharp as these things go up, they can come down pretty sharp too. Now I'm not saying it's going to come down to these levels, though. I would look at this price structure in this peak kind of as an area in a big recession. If that were to happen, like the 380 to 480 range, okay, maybe this thing's probably got a lot more room to run up. It looks like it's getting ready to just do a blow off top and then come down. But the more this gets stretched out in the shorter period of time, the more I would say be cautious with NVIDIA and be careful. I wouldn't be buying here just because how overextended it's getting. It's just getting too hyped up. Amazon, what we see here, we've tested this all-time high area once, twice, three, four times, got above it, came back down. And Amazon, it's got that red candle. It came down to the 10 moving average. Let's go to the daily. And the daily, you can see here, coming down to the 50-day moving average. Amazon did come down to the 200-day and this 382 fib before having this nice move up, came down to the 100. So maybe Amazon's getting ready to get to all-time highs as well. Let's go to Google. Google's doing very well in all-time high territory, and we do have this fib off log. Let's go to weekly. Let's go to the weekly time frame, and what do we notice here? So the next fib target, the 1618, is at 193. So watch for 193 for some areas of resistance for Google. If I had to guess, it'll bounce off there. There will be profit taking, and who knows how quick it can recover and get through if it's going to. But do watch that 193 level. We have two more. Let's go to Meta and Tesla. So Meta, it didn't quite get near the 1618 there. That's around 567. It did come down to the 20-week moving average, though, and changed bullish. Now, you do see here we have let's zoom in here. Sorry, it takes it off automatic sometimes. You do see here we got the buy signal off the 20, but then we had the sell signal the very next week as well. So maybe this is getting ready to come down. We have the 50-week moving average, the former all-time high. That can provide some good support going over to the daily. Yeah, it looks here like it just chopped through, or is chopping down and up through the 100 and the 50. But on the daily, it's showing a buy signal, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it is getting ready to go up. So watch Meta with how bullish NVIDIA just looked. I would not doubt if some of that sentiment rolls over to the other Magnificent Seven stocks, but we will see. But yeah, some price targets to watch for. Should things get bearish, though, again, the former all-time high around, what is this, 384, something like that, for for good areas of support with the 50 and that. So yeah, the only one left is Tesla. We'll take a look at Tesla and what do we got for Tesla? So Tesla, we got a lot of things going on here. We have this trend line here, and guys, like I'm not obsessed with trend lines. As I say, if you've been on my channel for a bit, trend lines are only good for as long as they're good for. So we have this upper trend line, the lower trend line. Things are wedging up here, and it's kind of funny how things start to get tight around the election time. You can see the data at the bottom. So insert whatever narratives you will on how the election will affect stocks, good or bad, and it could go either way for either president. So this guy won, and that's why stocks are bad or whatever. So not going to get into politics here, but every election cycle we hear that stuff. Anyways, with Tesla, we are underneath the zero point 0.5 fib and the 150 and 200 moving averages, all is very heavy resistance. Now, it found support at the 382 on the weekly. That's good. If Tesla is able to get through this clump of things over here, as well as this trend line, that'll be looking very bullish for Tesla. So this 0.5 fib, all these moving averages, if it can get through that, the only thing left really, in my opinion, is this trend line. And then a break above that would be very good for Tesla. Going over to the daily, yeah, you can see it got above the 50, and it's twice been testing off the 100. So on the smaller time frame, something to look at. Off the monthly, this is how bearish things got for Tesla. Got down to the 100-month moving average. Now, I think Elon Musk is a very smart guy. I have friends who have Teslas. They like their cars. But just something, being realistic here, not trying to be overly bearish or bullish, but just take a look at things evenly. Tesla's treated like a tech stock company when it really isn't. It's 90% automotive. And this Tesla has a market cap over 10 times higher. It is consistently for a few years now had a market cap 10 to 20 times higher than Ford or GM, yet has half the amount of revenue. So that's always made me very cautious and felt that this is overvalued. And in the next recession, whenever that is, I don't know when, that in the next recession, this would be the Magnificent Seven stock to get hit the most. Now, as far as the balance sheet, Tesla's balance sheet looks great. I think it would survive a recession very well with the way their balance sheet looks. Extra cash on hand, their revenue to expenditures or debt, as you will. So yeah, I think Tesla has some great things going for it, but I do think overall it is overvalued. And I mean, you can see this move right here inside of from October 19, and after the stimulus money got injected to November of 21, it went up almost 3,000%. So it's very extended. I would not be surprised to see it come back down to reality. I don't know, maybe 50 at the worst. Not saying that ever is going to happen, but I don't know. Tesla isn't the stock for me, but maybe it is for you. And if you do like Tesla, overall on the moving averages for the weekly or the monthly, things don't look that bad. So yeah, something to consider. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're all doing well. Like I said, I'll do a separate video for earnings reports and just try to separate these out so the videos aren't so long. So thanks for watching. Take care.